Hydrogen was first discovered by Robert Boyle in the 17th century, but was recognized later as an element by Henry Cavendish in 1776. Hydrogen is a gas, but is in group 1A, which is the alkali metals group. Two properties of hydrogen include that its melting point is negative 259.34 degrees Celsius and that its freezing point is negative 252.87 degrees Celsius. One application of hydrogen is that it's required in large quantities for commercial nitrogen fixation, a cycle that goes through the Haber-ammonia process. Surprisingly, hydrogen makes up more than 90% of all atoms and 3/4 of all mass in the universe.
The origin of carbon's discovery is unknown since it has been readily abundant since prehistoric times, but was not actually recognized as an element until 1789. Carbon is a nonmetal and is in group 4A. At 25 degrees Celsius, carbon is either diamond and clear or is graphite and black in its two most common forms. Carbon's sublimation point is at 3,642 degrees Celsius, and one application of carbon includes that it can be a neutron moderator in nuclear reactors.
Oxygen was discovered by Carl Wilhelm Scheele in 1772 but was named by Antoine Lavoisier in 1777. Oxygen is a gas and is in group 6A and is a chalcogen. Oxygen is a colorless gas at room temperature and melts to a pale blue liquid at negative 218.79 degrees Celsius. Oxygen, making up 21% of Earth's atmosphere, is required by most living organisms and for most forms of any sort of combustion. Neon was discovered and was first isolated by William Ramsay and Morris Travers in 1898. Neon is a noble gas in group 8A. It has a melting point of negative 248.59 degrees Celsius, making it a colorless gas at room temperature. However, it has an orangey red glow when placed in a high voltage field of electricity. Neon is used in advertising signs for this reason and is very bright and vibrant.
Sodium was first discovered and isolated by Humphrey Davy in 1807. It's an alkali metal in group 1A of the periodic table. It is also a solid silvery white metallic substance at room temperature and takes a temperature of 97.79 degrees Celsius to be melted. Sodium is most commonly recognized when forming a white precipitate with chlorine, making table salt. Aluminum was originally predicted by Antoine Lavoisier in 1787 and named by Humphrey Davy in 1807, and finally isolated in 1827 by Friedrich Wöhler. It is a post-transition metal on the periodic table, and sometimes considered a metalloid, and in group 3A of the table. On the Pauling scale, aluminum has an electronegativity value of 1.61, and has an empirical atomic radius of 143 picometers. Some common applications of aluminum are in foils, cans, and kitchen utensils. They all require aluminum because it is a strong but very light material.
Chlorine, first discovered in 1774 by Carl Wilhelm Scheele, thought it was a form of oxygen. He was corrected in 1810 by Humphrey Davy, who insisted that it was an element. Chlorine is a halogen in group 7A. It has an electronegativity value of 3.0, making it pretty electronegative, and has 4 different isotopes. Chlorine is an important substance used for purifying water, disinfectants, and bleach.
Making up 2.1% of the Earth's crust, potassium is the 8th most abundant element in the periodic table. It was isolated first by Humphrey Davy in 1807 and is an alkali metal in group 1A of the table. It is a solid at room temperature and has a density of 0.89 grams per cubic centimeter. Potassium is important for many living organisms' diets and also is used in many chemical plant fertilizers.
In 1808, Humphrey Davy first discovered and isolated elemental calcium. In group 2A, it is an alkaline earth metal. It is a dull gray-silver solid at room temperature and has a high melting point of 842 degrees Celsius. Calcium is the most common mineral in the human body and is used in the body to keep bones and teeth strong.
Finally, chromium was first discovered in 1797 and is a transition metal in group 6 of the periodic table. It's a solid silver metallic substance at room temperature. On the Pauling scale, it has an electronegativity value of 1.66. Chromium metal alloys are commercially produced through certain leaching processes, but in large amounts in certain forms, chromium can be toxic and a carcinogen.